Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. I hope you're all having an amazing day. We're starting off, we have the white pieces against the 1764 from Serbia. Starting off with the wonderful e4. And now the foreseeable plan is to get back up to 1800. We have a Sicilian c5. We'll go ahead with our usual knight c3. And we get a d6. We have a few options against d6. We have the immediate d4 break. With either knight takes or queen takes are both valid options. I'm sure there will be some sort of gambit you could do. D3 isn't as good an option as against the French Sicilian, simply because E5 exists. So I go ahead with this C3 idea with the delayed Alapin. Now the Alapin comes from knight to c6. In this position, oh gosh, the camera fell down. Knight c6 in this position, with the c3 straight away. So this is the delayed Alapin, and as you can see here, we're just gambiting a pawn. So the move here is bishop to e2, and they can't take this. They really want to take this, but we have this nasty queen fork. No one's really going to fall for this. A few people might. You might occasionally catch someone off guard. But they just go ahead with bishop to d7. They see the idea, and they want to block that straight away. I don't think bishop d7 is the best move, which is good for us. However, now I don't know what I'm doing. That's the thing. That's the thing about following theory. You either know it or you don't, and I don't at this point, I guess. I guess maybe an e5 could work. Even a d4 could potentially work in this situation. Still sort of gambiting the pawn, with some hopes of some quick development. Alternative d3 if we really want to hang on to the pawn. Castles is probably an option. I don't really know. We'll play a d3 here. Will we? It doesn't seem like the principled approach. The principle suggests we play d4 and give up the central pawn. Then again, I'm not a computer. I'm not a computer at all. So d3 seems okay. e5 is probably the move, to be honest. Followed by a swift d4, or if not, knight takes, I guess. Looking to trade off the light squared bishop with a swift d4. So let's go ahead with that. I think that looks okay-ish. We're claiming space in the center. We're developing our pieces. We're looking to get the bishop pair, which can only be a good thing. Can only be a good thing if we get the bishop pair. Now it's tempting to take this straight away. I don't know if that's the right move, or if we want to play a d4 first. The problem is, if we take straight away, their queen takes. D4 becomes less nice because they can just take it. So if we go with d4 straight away, they takes, and we have this weird central pawn on the e5 square. It's not necessarily a bad central pawn. It's very hard to defend. You would have to play like an f4 if you want to defend it with a pawn. Then again, it's taking space away from black. So is it necessarily a bad thing? I'm not quite sure. The alternative is we take the knight. Bishop takes. Followed by a castles, probably. They play like an e6 or a g6. Then we play d4, and we play with the isolated queen pawn. They have a very active light squared bishop though, so I'm not quite sure about that. I think that the move would probably be like some queen, bishop takes queen. The problem is you've got to watch out for rook d8 as well. That's very much on the way. queen takes. If you try this to support the d4 push, they go rook d8, and you're never actually doing this. And like we saw from that episode with the dragon, where I tried out the dragon defense, this nasty backwards pawn is a liability, really, I think is the word. Liability. All that saying, I don't know what I'm doing, basically. I don't know what I'm doing. It's possible to even move the knight back and just look for a d4 straight away. That is an idea as well. In fact, I don't hate that idea. Bishop g4. d4, bishop takes. Pawn takes. And you're threatening this b pawn as well, freeing up your pieces a bit. I think that's probably the principal idea. It's a bit passive, but anything else looks too good for black. So let's just move back. It's not a move I particularly want to make, but I don't think we're losing out on anything by playing it. I don't think we're necessarily losing out by playing it. We still castle, and we're still looking for d4. And now with the queen still on d8 rather than on d7, it means it's a lot harder to get this rook in the game for them. So that we potentially have time to do a knight a3. And knight e3 is a weird move. It's a very weird move. It's quite a common theme in the Alapin, and obviously in the delayed Alapin, very similar. The idea is it's like actually got a fair amount of range. And these squares are pretty strong squares. You know, you go in here, threatening like a fork. You go in here, and this knight's quite flexible wherever it sort of goes. Quite flexible. And then this c2 move, also not bad at all, like supporting the d4 push. Can still go to e3, not that that's particularly a plan blocking in your dark squared bishop, but it's more for the d4 idea. And a3 is like, you know, you always hear knights on the rim of grim. Not necessarily, especially if you've got this c2 hole in your pawn structure, you know, it's not particularly bad. And they go ahead and play e6. So I think now would probably be the time to play d4, followed by a bishop e3. We could potentially do a knight d2 or stick with this knight a3 idea, but I think we do need to play d4 here. While we still can, I think is the word. Their light squared bishop's not particularly good once they've played e6. So that's okay. We're going to take with the pawn rather than the knight, and now the knight can come to c3. So it's a lot better on c3. Not because the square is necessarily better than the a3 square, although it is slightly because it can hit more things. But because the whole idea of going to a3 is that it requires an extra move to get to the really nice squares. So it's not that it's any better or worse, but the a3 takes a lot more time, so it's not as ideal. I think we just pop the knight on c3 here. I don't think there's any downsides to that. The alternative is just castling, which is probably equally as much a move. Or potentially even a push, but that would probably invoke knight c3 first. So let's go ahead with knight c3 and potentially look for a push here. And they are playing very passive. They've got both their bishops on the 7th. They've got this nasty e6 square. So I think d5 is the way to play this potentially. It's opening up their light squared bishop, but trading off our awkward isolated pawn is probably going to be better for us in the long run. So I think we go ahead and do that while we can. Is something I'm trying to incorporate. Sorry, God. I'm not sure what happened to my throat there. Something I'm sort of trying to incorporate into my game a bit is do it while you can. You know, because I think I played passive as default quite a lot. And you've been hearing me talk about activity and making active moves. And I think do it while you can is a good idea in general to do. Not to say you should rush things or do things uncalculated. But, you know, if your opponent has a chance to stop your threat, then do it before they can stop your threat. You get it? It's not rocket science. The alternative is bishop e3 with a castle in whatever order. Can they stop d5? I would really like to take that with the castles, with a bishop e3. And then we have a very, I don't want to say boring, but a very boring and symmetrical pawn structure. You know, it's interesting. The only thing I can see is pawn takes, knight takes, queen takes. Knight b5, knight b4, sorry, is a bit annoying. Hitting both the queen and this c2 square. So that's something to be aware of. And it's potentially pushing me towards a castle or a bishop to e3. Now, bishop e3 doesn't actually solve the problem. So it's probably going to be a castles here. And we've got to remember how we play the isolated queen pawn. We want to either get rid of the isolated queen pawn or we want to keep the pieces on the board. So I don't think there's any trades they can actually do at the minute to stop this, or anything they can necessarily do to stop the d5 push. So I think we actually have time to castle here. And knight d5 would be happy times for us. We would just trade off, and then we have double isolated pawns here. So that's not as big as a deal, because you don't have the rooks coming behind to hit these pawns. It's still something you've got to be aware of, and to be honest, I don't know how that affects the plan. That's something I've not particularly looked at before, simply because it doesn't really happen, because it's not going to be as good for black. So I think here probably d5 is the way to go. I still don't know what their plan is, playing a6. I don't know what they're preventing. Knight b5 isn't really an idea anyway, and definitely not a bishop b5. So probably a d5, right? We're looking for the pawn break. I'm trying to get rid of our nasty central pawn. And potentially we're a tiny bit further in development than them. Tiny bit. Let's go for it. Why not? Worst case, it'll be a learning education scenario. Whatever. Whatever. I'm a bit frazzled at the minute. Just come back from the gym. Absolutely knackered. Was a very tough session, as per usual. And yeah, I'm ready to go back to bed. I've just woken up and I'm ready to go back to bed. But that's the life. That's what you do at the gym, you know. And I think here we just take with the knight. There's no reason not to. I think this trade works out in our favour, and we just develop our queen. We get rook on d1, bishop on e3. Happy life. I think we trade off queens if we can. We're potentially giving up some control of the open files, but with these bishops here, we are very heavily controlling these open files. So the rooks are likely to come off, and we're going into like an early end game here, which is okay in my opinion. Okay. In fact, rook takes. Bishop f6 is annoying because we're not going to be able to play bishop e3 with both of these pawns being hit as well. We could drop back to d1. It's an option, I guess. It's an option. Alternatively, takes. Oh gosh, takes. Rook takes. I guess it would be this rook. Bishop g5 would be interesting. Looking to trade off. The problem is you take with the rook, the knight gets this hole on d4 with this knight no longer covering. And your bishop's left sort of on its own a bit. You could potentially trade off this bishop, which would be interesting as well. I think we've got to trade queens here. I don't think there's any cheap tactics, traps we can do. We just have to play a good endgame. And if there's one thing I can't do is play a good endgame. Yeah. We saw that in yesterday's video. I think bishop g5 here is the plan. Any pawn structure moves is going to benefit us. We just drop back to e3, and the bishop no longer has its f6 square. They go anywhere else. The bishop's not as active. And we're looking to trade off the light squared bishop. What I would say as well is that rook d2 is an issue. Knight takes, rook takes, knight c6 is very much annoying after a rook c8. The knight's in fact trapped. So. Where else can we go? After a bishop f6. That's the problem we're having at the minute. Bishop f6. Yeah, it's going to be hard. We could alternatively give up this b2 pawn in order to win the b7 pawn. Is an option. I just don't particularly want to give up this dark squared bishop because of the control of the d2 square. That's what I'm worried about. So yeah, I think probably after bishop f6, we just go rook d1. Bishop takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook b1. Rook b1's quite nice. We get that, and then we're threatening a6 as well. So let's stick with e3. Staying active-ish, I guess. And it is a bishop pair versus bishop pair. You've got knight and 2 rooks thrown in as well. So everything sort of cancels out. And we're probably heading towards a draw, which isn't the ideal result. Especially with the white pieces. But to be honest, it's not a loss. It's not a loss. That's all we can ask for, really. If something hasn't quite gone your way, maybe a draw's not a bad result. Maybe a draw's not a bad result. It's better than losing. So I think here we just go rook fd1, and with this idea of trading off stuff, and then yeah. The only thing I would say is the bishop could potentially get this a2 pawn at the end of it. Bishop takes, rook takes, check, rook takes, rook b1, bishop back, rook takes, bishop takes, no, yeah, bishop takes, and then, oh no, we can throw in a rook b6, it's quite nice. Yeah, we can throw in a rook b6. Seems to cover everything. Knight b8 is passive. We could throw in a bishop f4 even. Yeah, I think that seems to work. We could potentially be going down a pawn here. I'm not too worried about it. I'd like my king to get a bit more active, but at the minute we need to focus on getting our pieces out and in the game. I think takes a more important position. I don't know the word. Anyway, it takes precedent. Precedent. I don't know at all. And they're probably calculating out the pawn sack here, whether that works or not. It's definitely an interesting idea, and it's something that needs to be considered. I think you probably have to go for it as black. Even the option of going up a pawn is like, even the potential is got to be worth it. You want the play. Your bishops are slightly better placed, especially on f6. My knight is there at the minute, which is my downside, but to be honest, it's not the end of the world at all. Especially if we trade off one of the set of rooks, I think this heads a bit more draw-ish. I would like a bit of room for my king as well, please. Whether that's G3 or H3. Not quite sure. Not quite sure. Or even King F1 is an interesting move as well. 4 minutes left. Again, it's not ideal time management at all. We do have increment though. We just need to stay calm, breathe, and relax. You know, there's nothing to it, but to do it. And we will do it. We will do this. Hopefully they will blunder, because I think that's the only realistic way we're winning this. If they manage to blunder somehow, and it's still entirely possible. There are a lot of pieces for an end game. You know, a lot of pieces in play still for an end game, which is only going to be good. It's important to note here, if the rook decides to take, takes, and then rook d8. We could potentially even just take that. Knight takes with a b3, and things are looking a lot more pleasant here with like a knight d4. Even if we trade off the knight for a bishop, then things are looking slightly better for us. They go for this idea, which is interesting. Just getting rid of this b7 threat, I guess, is the word. This b7 threat. Which is a solution, I guess. A very valid solution to the problem. I like that we can throw in this rook c1. Maybe rook takes rook c1. Then manage to play a b3 is quite nice. Hitting this knight, which is no longer defended. I think that's the way to go. And then the swift b3 seems to chill everything out. There are no back ranks. That is the important thing. These bishops are doing a stand-up job of controlling our back rank, especially this d file. The knight is there too. I guess the knight is there too. But yeah, nothing's getting in a million years. It's a nice little defensive resource, is this rook c1, hitting the knight. And again, some pieces have traded off, probably indicating drawish territory, but it's not over till it's over at all. Not over till it's over. I think knight b4 is an interesting idea. Hitting this a pawn. I don't know if a3 works. Bishop takes. If you've got any rook b1, I don't think so, because bishop. Oh gosh. Because bishop takes a3 and it covers the knight, and then you can't go b3 because of this really annoying bishop. So that doesn't quite work. We will have to find other ways to defend that. Maybe even an a4 could potentially work, with the idea of bishop takes a6. Is an option. But we need to sort of do something about these bishops, because they're getting a bit on my nerves. They're getting a tiny bit on my nerves here. Which is okay, you know. They are good bishops. They are very good bishops. But we have options. We have a lot of options. I think our pawns being on the second rank helps, because we have the option of one or two moves. And I forget, it's got a name. Is it Steinitz law or something? Where the pawns are best on their second rank, simply because of this option. I don't know the details behind the theory of that. Yeah, I'm sure it's very interesting. I think it applies more to king and pawn endgames, where you've got the choice of tempos. I see that it potentially works against bishops, because bishops are stuck on one colour, I guess. So you've got the option as well of choosing which colour to stick your pawns on. But yeah, things are looking particularly okay. Particularly okay, I think is a good word. You know, it's not like bad okay. It's just dead in the middle okay. Dead in the middle okay. And they're a bit stuck for choice here. I think knight b4 is the way to go. Any other thing looks a bit too dubious. Rook c8 is an interesting idea. Although then knight d4 comes very very quickly with a check, which is annoying. The problem is the bishop covers the rook, so it doesn't particularly work. After all the dust has settled, you can just do knight takes. Oh gosh, I can't do. Oh gosh, there we go. it doesn't work. Basically, it doesn't work. So we'd have to come up with something a bit more clever after that. Maybe even an a4 with the idea of takes, and then maybe even a bishop b6 is very interesting as well. In fact, I quite like that. I do quite like that a fair amount. It's really controlling these c7, c8 squares, kicking the rook from the defense of the knight. They're sinking a fair bit of time into this move. A very fair bit of time. I don't know what they're cooking up. Something dubious, though. It's got to be. It has to be, really. Whew. What's your plan, my friend? What is your plan? Six minutes left versus my 3 3/4 of a minute, I guess. I don't think people say quarters of a minute, but I am. I'm starting from now doing that. But yeah, we will see. We will see. I don't think there's any. Oh, they go for that. Oh, very interesting indeed. Very, very interesting. Now, I think a4 is a pretty cool looking move, right? Bishop takes, rook c2. Knight back takes, knight takes. Then it's dead drawn. Dead drawn. I think a4 is the way to go, personally. I think a4 is the way to go. A4 takes, bishop takes. Yeah, because we cover the bishop that way. Yeah, a4. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Why not? Why not? Let's live on the edge a bit, you know? Live on the edge. Live on the edge. Why the devil not? Yeah, that again. The fact we have two pawn moves, choosing where to go, which square to go to is a huge advantage, I guess, for us, because they don't have that. They've chosen to advance this b5, an a6 pawn, so we might as well use our advantage to poke a little pokey proddy at them. I don't think pokey proddy's a word, but yeah, sure. Bishop takes. No, pawn takes, bishop takes. Rook d8 is interesting. With some potential back rank threats because of the lack of bishop, the severe lack of bishop. But then, bishop a6. Rook d... whatever that is, 6. Bishop a8, rook up, takes, rook takes, something along those lines, I guess. Something along those lines. That's wild, though. Yeah, still playing for a draw. Still playing for a draw. I know I said that yesterday as well, and we didn't end up drawing that. We ended up significantly making a fool of ourselves, but you know, yeah, that's why it's called theory, because not everyone can implement it perfectly. If it was implemented perfectly, chess would be boring, extremely boring, more than it is already. I'm joking. I am joking. I love this game. I think it's one of the most playable games there is. You know, a lot of games are as complex, if not more complex, like Go, for example. But I don't feel like there's as much personality behind Go. There's no tension. You know, it's just a matter of territory. Not that I know anything about Go. Please do correct me in the comments if you know anything about Go. But I hope I've not just pissed off a whole... Oh, they go for this line. Wow. Whoo, they go for this line. Wild, wild stuff. I think just a rook c2 here is good. Takes. And then we trade off into a very, very boring... ish endgame, I guess. Yeah. Pawn takes. Knight could even come back, though. That would be a pretty huge blunder, I think. Yeah, bishop takes. The rook could come here, which is interesting, but then bishop comes back. There is no mate because the bishop covers c1. So they could come back after that, but then the bishop goes to e4, and everything's just traded off perfectly. We'll still play it out. We will still play it out. If they offer a draw, I'll consider taking it. But you know, there is still every chance they could mess this up. There is still every chance. Either of us, I should say, could mess this up. Either of us can indeed mess this up. I don't know what their next great idea will be, but all that stuff on the side, it's calmed down. Now the bishop... Whoa! Ooh, that can't be right. That can't be right. Well, I mean, I've got to trade off the knight, the rook, surely. There's no tricks, alright. Just trade off the rooks. There's no back ranking threats. We tried to trade off some of the bishops. If we can get a bishop pair here, then I will be significantly happy. Significantly more happy. Knights are tricky, though. You know, never underestimate the power of a knight. There are always opportunities. But yeah, I think this one's pretty much done. That being said, you know, we're up on the clock for some reason now. They've spent what, like 8, 9, 10 minutes on 3 moves, which is wild. Really wild. Even maybe 11 minutes. 12 minutes? Wow. Surely not. I don't know how to add up numbers, though. So I don't know the actual numbers on that. The one thing I would say about knights versus bishops is that knights can get pretty easily trapped by bishops, you know. Yeah, they're not a free move around sort of thing. This is a good move. I really do like that. And maybe we're the ones losing the bishop pair. Ooh, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. It's a nice move. I guess we just got to trade off. Trade off the bishop pair, I guess. That's all we've got to do. I don't want to do like a bishop c6, just because this is isolating this pawn and it's not particularly pleasant. We want to keep everything quite close together. So I think a bishop c2 probably is the smarter thing to do here. Knight c2, sorry. Bishop f5 is interesting. But then like a bishop a4 seems fine as well. So let's do that. I think that's fine. think that's fine. I don't think I've blundered anything. Hopefully not. Again, only time can tell. Only time and the computer can tell. But we will still keep playing this on. They don't seem to want to play for a draw, you know, which is interesting. You know, time trouble is probably our specialty, I would say at this point. Time trouble is definitely one of our specialties. So maybe that plays into our hand, maybe it doesn't. I'm not quite sure. Here, knight d4 is interesting, but it doesn't quite work because knight takes, and the knight does actually cover this bishop once again. So I think bishop a4 is probably the right move. Probably the right move. And everything's getting a bit tangled up here. It's not particularly pleasant. It's not particularly pleasant. We're going to... I reckon they're just going to trade off the bishop. The thing is, like, even like everything gets traded off, this is dead drawn. Whoa. You go for that? Surely not. Well, I think I go bishop b3 here. Keep control of this knight. It just seems fine. It just seems fine. Then we're keeping the bishop pair on. They've lost their chance to trade off the bishop pair, which can only benefit us. And we just got to be tricky with this knight. What's that doing? Nothing much. This is just dancing for the sake of dancing, really. Dancing for the sake of dancing. Oh, no! No, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's not fine. We blundered. No! We blundered. Bishop takes. Oh, loses completely. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I do this to myself? Aye, aye, aye. We blundered completely there. Yeah, bishop takes. It's fine, though. It's fine, though. We will keep playing. We will keep playing till the end. We will fight on. Stick everything on dark squares. Yeah, that's the second time I've hung a piece in an endgame. Aye, aye, aye. I'm just terrible. I'm terrible. I need my channel removed, taken off YouTube. Delete every video. You'll never see from me again. You know, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. And I can't call another video not ideal because I think I did that on the Puzzle Rush one. Aye, aye, aye. I am a stupid person. Stupid person. We will keep playing. We will. Can we still get a draw? Potentially. We just need to hang on to all these pawns the best we can. And if we keep everything on a dark square, their bishop still can't really hit them. It would be up to their king to get in. And try do something with it that way. I think he would play an f4. They have... Oh, actually, is it bishop e4? Pawn takes... bishop takes, pawn takes. King there, king there. King there, king there. It will be up to... Yeah, that's not pleasant. We've done it again. We blundered again. Once more. Once more, my friends. Once more, we blunder. There you go, yeah. What can you do? Okay. This guy is good though, you know. He keeps setting up traps for me, and I keep falling for them. So he's got to be quite a skilled player. Quite a skilled player. Knight f5, back, check, king up, king down again, check. Or you could go that way, I guess. We will keep attacking your knight. We will keep attacking your knight and move back, I guess. We're in a bit of trouble here. We're in a bit of trouble. I think you could even sack the knight with a king d4. Is interesting. Or not. Or not. I will try push the pawns. The good news is the king can't get in. Unless you spend some time checking me. However you do that. Which is going to take some moves. So maybe we can get a pawn on the run. We will try our best, as per usual. The problem is the king can just... Ooh. Don't know if I'm a big fan of that. Makes sense, though. Makes sense. F5 here. The annoying thing is this is it's like a self-sustaining little fortress here. You know, I can't get back in order to take the knight, so I can't take the pawn, so I can't move. That is the problem. They go for something else though, which is okay. I will do a g5 in hopes of king takes. Not that that's going to happen though. And now all of our chances are gone. And there's no one to blame but me. You know, there is no one to blame but me. We're going to try get some sort of stalemate here. Whether that's actually possible or not is another question. But we will try our gosh darn hardest, as per usual. Yeah. Pawn push wins or not. There's potential for stalemates here. There is some potential. There is also no potential at all. There is also no potential at all, which is fair enough. Against 6 points of material, you know, there's not much you can do. The other choice would be there, knight there, promotes. So we'll go this way. Head upstream, see what we can do. Queen f1, please. Please and thank you. Would be very nice. Also g3 is mate. Queen f2 leads to mate. That leads to mate as well. You could do anything here, and it would be checkmate. Anyway, gosh, that is a shame. It's a shame. Just tricky tricks. I think that'll be the title of this episode. We have an 83.5 versus a 90.2. Very high accuracy for them. And apparently I played the end game with 100% accuracy, which makes no sense because I blundered everything. I didn't even see the roller coaster. What was the roller coaster like? We never had the advantage. At all, which is wild. Absolutely wild. Shows you I need some work on this theory. E5 is the right move, though, which is great. And apparently you just take the bishop, which is dead even. We did the right thing with d4, castles. d5's an okay move, slightly better for black. Queen trades, yeah. Apparently bishop d2 is the right move, which seems ridiculous to me, but bishop e3 is still drawing. Rook d1 apparently is losing. 1.4, I would say that's enough to lose. Bishop g5 apparently is the best move, which is wild to me. Bishop takes, knight takes. What do you do about this? Bishop f3. Takes. Knight takes e6. Pawn takes. Rook F. Rook F B1. Rook F B1. Whoa, okay, so I guess the thing is this weak pawn and this pawn's never promoting. Okay, B5 anyway. Seems like a missed opportunity for them. It's gone back to level-ish. We played this Rook C1 idea, but apparently A4 straight away is the way to go, which is wild. Absolutely wild. What if they do this? What if they do this? Rook B1. Oh, and then you're winning the pawn back that way. Makes a lot more sense. Apparently B3 is the move here, not A4. A4 is actually a losing idea. Which makes no sense to me. What about bishop takes? Bishop takes B2, yeah. Oh, A3 is the idea. I missed A3 completely. Ooh, brutal stuff. And then this is dead even, like we saw. We made a slight mistake there. Yeah, not ideal, not ideal. And I saw it straight after I played it. You know, it's a tricky trap. It's a tricky trap. Yeah, there's not much to say other than that. Not much to say other than that. We can go through the motions of. This is a pretty simple one to convert, though. Pretty simple. Anyway, I want to just have a quick look. Not table based, thank you. Where are we? E4. I want to have a look at the opening. Explore. There we go. So bishop D7 here. It's an annoying move because you lose any sort of excitement on this diagonal, basically. And apparently D3 is the second most played move. Bishop D7. Oh no, bishop D. No, D3 is the best move here. Yes, bishop D7 was the move. Bishop. And then D3 is the best move, which was my sort of intent, but it doesn't feel right in this position. If I want to play D3, I want them to play D6, which is my thought process. But apparently it works. So in future, I will remember that. I will improve. I will get better. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while indeed, but I will get better. And hopefully you got better by watching me not get better. You know where I went wrong, and hopefully you will learn from that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.